And I would like to now talk about this person who's going to take this session is my partner in somebody who actually oriented me also in velocity genetics way back from 2016. And he is a Babson University, USA graduate. He has also done his genetic studies in Monash University of Australia. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's a technocrat, and the kind of alignment that I and he have, it's been very instrumental in we educating people about both passionately about the importance of nutrigenomics. So with the waving of your hands, I'd like to now invite the Chief Product Officer of Velocity Genetics, and he's a part of the management in Velocity Life Sciences Private Limited. Let's wave our hands for Mr. Milind Doshi.
Hi everyone. Hello. How are you? Am I audible?
Yes,
if I'm audible, please do a thumbs up.
Yes.
Perfect.
Milind.
Awesome. So that you can see my talk. Share screen. Enable screen share. It's showing host disable participant screen sharing.
There you go.
Yeah, done. Okay, perfect. There we go. Okay. Okay, guys. So my talk is going to be about the breakthroughs in genetics that are happening in the world right now. Aaj kya kya ho raha hai? And I will start my talk with showing you the latest breakthroughs in 2021 in the last May and June month. Okay. And many of these things are following up on all the predictions I had made earlier about what would happen in the field. Now there's a lot of approval and a lot of genetically engineered life forms and solutions for real world problems are launched and approved and in the market. Okay, so it's a very important year and also very scary at the same time for some of you. So I will start by saying that biology is converging with technology and it is giving us a superpower. Okay, and if you see the intersection of these three circles, that's where genetic engineering and biotechnology currently lies. So this industry, I do not be fooled here, industry will be a part of every industry in the world. Okay, there will not be one industry that it will not touch. So I will explain my point shortly. But currently we are spending in the field of medicine about $75 billion in America only, on how to make new medicines and new solutions for problems. And I think one of the cutting edge fields of solving new healthcare conditions is through gene therapy. In gene therapy, we have heard about CRISPR and Cas9, which was which was a pretty good technology. But now we are hearing about a new thing called RLR. RLR is essentially retron library recombination. It's basically gene editing at a million base pair scale. It was invented by Dr. George Church in Harvard University. And they've essentially found a bacteria in nature that naturally edits without harming the DNA in millions of base pair regions. So this is something that's upcoming that allows us to make more and more changes in the human being's biology or any other living creature's biology. There was in 2019, I spoke about this woman and said that she was going to be the first person who's going to be cured from age-related macular degeneration in a research experiment. But now that particular drug for blindness through gene therapy is out in the world. There's a blind man who was blind for 40 years. He can now get partial vision because they've essentially put the light sensitive proteins in the eyes through gene editing. And now that person can visualize again. So this field of research is now called optogenetics. And optogenetics is run by this company. There's one leading company in the world in this field called Nanoscope. And they're the ones that have actually now 11 patients that are suffering from retinitis pigmentosa. They're giving them vision, so it's pretty exciting. I told you the price has come down very little for this $2.1 million drug, which was the most expensive medicine in the world from Novartis, for spinal muscular atrophy, which is a very difficult condition to cure. If your child has it, then you will probably be willing to pay whatever it is to solve this problem for your child. And this was the official price of Zolgensma, which was the name of the drug. And now, in just a matter of 1 year of them announcing that, there is a boy born in England who's using the Zolgensma drug, and they are spending essentially 1.8 million pounds, which is about the same price, and this drug is out and they've been cured, and this kid has been born with this disease and has actually gotten cured from it from gene therapy. And this article is from last month. Okay, so this is 2021. Now, we spoke about malaria being eradicated from the world by editing the DNA of the mosquitoes and then inserting something known as a gene drive, which is a self-replicating genetic sequence where in the offspring of the mosquito, the genetically engineered part will also manifest itself, will edit the DNA of the offspring also. Through just modifying the DNA of one generation, all future generations' DNA also gets modified, which is a very dangerous technology. It's known as the gene drive. And the US government was battling for years, saying this technology is so dangerous that if you make a modification one time in one species, and if they have an offspring, eventually in the long run, all species will be the same modification, will have the same trait. Then they said, everybody said, no, we can't have mosquitoes genetically modified from this. We don't know the consequences of this. It can be so much danger can come from it. But then eventually, these people have agreed in America, in Florida, in Key Biscayne, Florida, which is a very beautiful area right off Miami, where they've released mosquitoes, which are the cause of Zika virus, chikungunya, dengue, and yellow fever. And they have now, as of 3 days, on 3rd May 2021, they have released the mosquitoes that are genetically modified with the gene drive in America. So now you cannot put this back. You cannot reverse this condition. Ho gaya. Now it's only a matter of time that these diseases will be completely eradicated from the whole world. They've also deployed these in Africa. And this year they plan on deploying these mosquitoes in all different parts of the world. So what we're doing is we're redesigning species, including our own. Maybe this COVID vaccine is also editing our DNA through the mRNA. I heard of a case where one person took the vaccine and went to the hospital 10 times through the course of a year or something since the vaccine got released. And the doctors could not figure out why this patient had COVID so many times that they had to come to the hospital. Eventually, they figured out that the mRNA vaccine for this particular individual mutated his DNA to produce the coronavirus. So his DNA was making the virus nonstop. So he kept getting sick throughout the year. So it's a pretty dangerous thing, messing around with the genome, and maybe it's a bioweapon, maybe it is not. But we know that the AstraZeneca vaccine actually injects a harmless bacteria who's edited harmless virus, where they've inserted one segment of the coronavirus within that virus. And that is supposed to stimulate the immune system to protect you. But sometimes it doesn't, and that's why this whole vaccine thing is a hot topic of debate. But genetic engineering can make these vaccines. So these vaccines are also being made by using CRISPR-Cas9 tools. So the funny thing is that I spoke about this a few years back, and programmable life forms means that we can make any living organism do certain things that we want them to do, and that's how a lot of our medicine in the world is made. Spider silk is made from genetically modifying the bacteria that produces the silk. But the history of genetic modification actually is started way before you can even imagine it started. This is not new. This is not a 2020 phenomenon. This has been happening for generations. Our banana which we eat today should not be edible actually. हमारा जो banana है वो breeding के साथ over generations, they've made it from a thick and big and not tasty banana to a sweet banana that human beings like to eat. So that is without gene editing, but through breeding, which is another form of genetic engineering. Uh, in the 1960s, scientists were putting radiation, which are nothing but frequencies, and those frequencies were essentially modifying randomly the plant's genetic code, and that led to the start of Monsanto and all these companies, where they realized they can actually manipulate the DNA sequence of plants and make them resistant to pesticides, resistant to whatever it is that is eating them, and also give them superpowers to make the fruit bigger, tastier, look better, have last longer shelf life. But in 1970s, they inserted the DNA into the cell and studied it. Then in 1974, the world's first genetically modified animal was created, which was a mouse. You know, then from 1970s till now, there have been so many systematic penetration of genetics in every industry, especially starting with the food. As you can see, our cheese over here now, the yeast of the cheese is basically made from editing the DNA. The chymosin gene was inserted into the plasmid, which essentially modifies the yeast cells, which produces the cheese faster and better. In 1994, our tomatoes, which we eat today, at least in America, they were suppressing the gene that makes it rot. So the tomatoes are bigger in America and Spain. You see all these amazing tomatoes in Italy. Probably because they edited. And in India, you see all Marella tomatoes. But if you're starting to see the tomatoes that are really good, then it is probably genetically modified, So I would be wary of that. I wouldn't want to eat that myself, because when you consume that, it causes some epigenetic reaction in your body, which will essentially lower and weaken your immune system. Strawberries have already been inserted with the Arctic flounder fish ka DNA, which allows it to become resistant to cold, so they can freeze strawberries and then reuse them in food throughout the year. Even tomatoes that are cancer fighting, they have injected them with some gene editing thing where they have become purple tomatoes can help fight cancer. Funny thing is that rice is the third most used crop in the world. It's wheat, corn, and rice. 50% of the world's food on a daily basis is essentially made from rice. And if you can, there was a scientist in China that has been nominated for the Nobel Prize because he figured out a way to make rice that is the grain of rice is so thicker seed, and the height of the plant is as high and tall as a human being, where before it was only half the size apparently, and it's known as the golden rice. And this rice essentially is dangerous because now out of the food supply, they have already input this particular grain in more than 10% of the global food rice supply, and soon it will be more. So I say my personal views, we should object to this, even though it might increase the profitability and yield for farmers. It is definitely harming humanity in the long run, consuming this and then not having traditional rice available for those who want it. They've also created chickens that don't grow the feathers, naked chickens, bigger pigs, fish, the Arctic, the salmon that we are eating in the world today. There's high demand in sushi and in a lot of countries where fish is important. That they have now, I remember last year doing a presentation where I said that they would be giving, this is naked chicken. I'll just skip this slide. Yeah, the Aqua Advantage salmon. So this salmon is engineered basically to replace the traditional salmon. It grows bigger in the same conditions, so it gives more yield to all the fish farmers. And they said that they're going to announce they got approval, and this was in 2015. In 2019, they said they're going to try to launch it, okay, in Q4 of 2020, and then now 2021, okay, we're talking about 2 days back, they have started shipping the world's first genetically modified salmon to restaurants across USA. So America, if you have fish right now, it is genetically modified. So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's already happening. You can also have children that have 3 parents, where you have a person where they modify the embryo to do that. I won't get into that right now. You can have glow in the dark zebra fish. That is for years. Fish that glow in the dark genes have already been modified with the genes of fireflies. Now you have glow in the dark cats. Maybe you can buy a pair soon. In America, the scientists have, if you've seen a documentary on Netflix, we've seen a lot of mice and monkeys and even cats and pets in these genetically engineered labs are glowing in the dark like this. So if you see in the in the lab, you can find the mouse glowing. So it's very close for a human being to do the same. If you can successfully do this in monkeys and animals, you can do this in human beings also. So you want to save your electricity bill in the night, put this DNA in yourself. Um, the funny thing is now our food for vegetarians who want to, or the non-veg people who want to become veg because of cholesterol issues or whatnot, can now eat Impossible burgers or Beyond Meat burger patties, which are made from plant sources that are genetically engineered from soy. And this is pretty interesting food that is already selling and it's become quite a trend. But India में I don't know if ये चलेगा क्योंकि India में the veg people will not want to have a non-veg taste made from veg. but अभी वो हो रहा है. And even the future of brain-computer interface. So I've heard that there's this company, apart from Neuralink, there's another company called Profusa. Profusa is a company that the Department of Defense funded $7.5 million, and Bill Gates put in $7.5 million in that company. And that company essentially has engineered a biological crystal life form, because crystals are known to be like life on a quantum level, that this hydrogel can be inserted into a human being's circuitry and receive wireless transmissions or waves, because on a quantum level we are nothing but vibrations and frequencies and waves. So it collects biometric data from your body and it transmits that to Internet of Things devices. And Profusa is essentially what is already an implemented technology, some conspiracy theorists say, in the COVID swabs that the government, when you're traveling, when they enforce you to use a COVID test, inside the swabs itself, on the swab part, they put a fiber, which when it comes in contact with your body, it starts to grow like a crystal in your body, you know, and it essentially grows towards the pineal gland or where the electromagnetic wave is. So it sounds dangerous, but then the fact that all these millions and millions of dollars are invested in these companies and these technologies are very real, it is not a stretch to assume that it could be already being used in us to make us essentially chip by microchipping us in the form of a biological chip, which doesn't feel like we've been chipped by some metallic object, you know. So I don't know, maybe this has already happened and we need to find ways to reverse this in human beings, because it takes away our freedom and it raises questions about government control on the human population. But the future of brain-computer interface is going to be through genetic engineering. That's the future of this company, which Elon Musk has already launched. Aging, we could actually live younger. I feel there's some science that I'm researching in which is pointing to the fact that you can increase aging, which means that you can also potentially reverse it. I don't know, have any of you been to Mount Kailash Parbat? Can you just say in the comment chat, yes, anybody? Have you ever heard of Mount Kailash Parbat in India? In Tibet, actually. So this mountain is known to have very mystical properties where people who go there, their nails grow faster, their hair grows faster. In a matter of 1 week, their hairs, they start to become like a full-on sadhu, and their nails grow like 4 or 5 times the normal speed. And then there's a story that when you climb the mountain, it is the world's, it is 2,000 meters shorter than the Mount Everest, but nobody on earth has climbed Mount Kailash Parbat because of the electromagnetic force that is over there, or some unexplained invisible force or energy is over there. And it's also known to be the birthplace of Shiva. And in multiple cultures, a very sacred mountain. There were a group of 27-year-old men that were climbing the mountain and attempting to climb it. And there was a point where when they reached that point, by taking just 100 steps, they aged 50 years. In 100 steps of them walking, these 27-year-old kids became 65 years old with beards and stuff. And this is apparently a well-documented story over there. and that gives you, like, if aging, if the energy going into the cells can be magnetized, you know, there are research showing that it can actually heal you faster from wounds, it can heal you faster from all sorts of conditions in the body that require that electromagnetic field. So this is coming, you know, Google has invested $500 million in this company. Is one of the scientists that works on it. You can watch these documentaries on YouTube. uh, Maybe COVID might allow us to, COVID might edit our DNA as a species over time, who knows? But at least we will live longer if that helps. We might live for 500 years. This is very, very likely to happen. Looking at the rate at which genetic engineering is being implemented in food and in human beings already, I don't think this is a faraway stretch. Um, China is obviously leading this whole field. In 2018, they edited the human babies over there, human patients with gene editing. They try to cure leukemia with it. FDA approved leukemia therapy also, you know, which is a cancer. And I don't want to take up more time, so I'll skip this stuff. But basically, the future of your food is going to look like this probably, the diet. And Nestle in Japan is basically resorted to DNA testing and then personalizing food via that. Even what's interesting is that you can match your partner. So this is a new technology. I feel like this thing of matching couples based on their genetics is likely to come out in the future, although it'll be very controversial. But what they say is when you marry somebody and have kids with them from the same religion, these diseases happen to you. So 5% of diseases can be prevented by just having diversity in the person you choose to marry your child to. So if you've not seen this photo, it's pretty interesting. You can select your baby tomorrow. I think this day will come where you can say, I want to hire a more intelligent 2020 vision, edit the DNA in them, and this kid can be yours. This scientist was the first guy who started the revolution. A little bit of history for you. He also was told not to in 2019 to edit the gene of 2 Chinese kids, but he did it. And he basically caused these they're living in China right now and they have HIV resistance to them. And then they cloned 5 baby monkeys after editing their genes to study them in China. And they did this using CRISPR-Cas9. But now the rate of using this technology has improved 100-fold with RLR technology, which is a new technology that has come out, which might even increase the rate of genetic engineering much more. So yeah, I don't know if we have more time. Stan, do we have more time?
No, we need to wind up, Milind.
Okay, fine. So yeah. I'll just leave you anyway. So this guy is now missing in China. This doctor, maybe someone has some government has agency has taken him under. But yeah, that is the current state of world affairs today. And genetics is the main driving technology of everything. Really, in COVID, even the testing of COVID is PCR based. Even the vaccines are genetically engineered. Even the potential biometric chipping of human beings is also going to happen through this. So we might be living in a world that is completely influenced by genetics. So yeah, thank you very much.